Good afternoon, everybody. Pigskin Pete here. Happy Monday to everybody. Today, what I want to do is go through conference by conference, the major Power 5 conferences only in college football, and pick out one team from each of those conferences that I think is sort of a dark horse to make some noise this year. Why the horse got to be dark? Why can't the horse be white? That's a racist statement, man. When I say dark horse, do I mean this one of these teams is going to make the college football playoff? No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is it's a team that nobody's thinking about that could possibly win 10 or even 11 games and make a run at least winning their conference or compete for winning their conference. So let's get it kicked off. Let's start with the ACC. Now, my first thought was to obviously pick Florida State. That's not fair, though, because Florida State, had a nice run with Jimbo Fisher there, especially when Jameis Winston was there. And of course, they had a great run, in the 90s, early 2000s as far as the ACC goes. But listen, they're in a rebuild year. I'm not looking for them to have a chance to compete with Clemson in that division this year. I'm just not. If they do, it'll be a big, big shock. So the team I'm picking is Virginia Tech. The reason I'm picking Virginia Tech is because, first of all, I really like that coach, Coach Fuente, or whatever his name is. He's going to be going into his third year here at Virginia Tech. And the reason he got hired there is because their offense was so terrible for so long. They've always had a good defense, but their offense was terrible. And I think over the next couple years, this season and then, of course, next year, you're going to see a big change in that offense. The last time they had a good offense there, Mike Vick still did not like dogs. Coach Fuente is now getting his talent in there as far as recruiting to run the kind of system that he wants to run. And I think what you're going to see is a much different team this year than you saw the previous 2 years. And I'll even give him some leeway and say he maybe need till next year. But Virginia Tech is a team to keep an eye on in the ACC. Plus, that division, Virginia Tech, Miami, Duke, North Carolina, that's the weaker of the two divisions in the ACC. And, they're going to have to get through Miami, who I expect to be really good. I think their preseason top 10, Miami, is maybe 6 or 7 or 8 or something like that. But anyway, preseason rankings don't mean crap. We all know that. But I think that Virginia Tech has a chance to give Miami a run for their money. And if they get up in the ACC championship game, who knows what could happen, right? So in the ACC, Virginia Tech, look for them this year. What is it with these schools with these birds for mascots? Yeah, a falcon, that's cool. An eagle, that's cool. A chicken, Gamecocks, is not cool, all right? A turkey, Virginia Tech, is not cool. I don't get it. The Big Ten. Now, the Big Ten East is, as I've said before, not necessarily the best conference in football or division in football, but the deepest. You have Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State, and Michigan State, all in that same division. So, the team I'm picking as the dark horse out of the Big Ten this year will be Michigan. I don't have any faith in Michigan since Harbaugh's been there 3 or 4 years. I don't even know. Somebody can tell me. I didn't look it up. He's been there at least 3 years, has never finished better than third place in his own division, and has lost to Penn State, Ohio State every year. Can't beat Michigan State. So, what reason would I have to believe that Michigan is a dark horse team in this conference this year? Well, I think that the bottom line is, as much as I make fun of Jim Harbaugh and he's a weird dude and, he's just, there's something about him. You either love him or hate him, and I'm not a big fan of his. Maybe Harbaugh should stop sleeping at recruits' houses and go over and spend the night with Urban Meyer. You might learn something. He is a good coach. He did great things when he was at Stanford. He did great things when he was with the 49ers. Took him to a Super Bowl and an NFC Championship game with Colin Kaepernick. So the dude needs a quarterback. He finally got one. I don't know. I've heard some controversy whether or not that kid's going to be able to play this year. I don't know what's going on. That kid they got from Ole Miss. They're supposed to be giving him a pass to be able to start. Normally, you have to sit out a year if you transfer. But Ole Miss, with all the sanctions and all that crazy mess that went on down there, I think that the NCAA was going to make an exception for this kid and not punish him because of that crooked school he was at. Hugh Freeze royally screwed that place up. I wonder if he spent more money on players or hookers. Guess we'll never know. So if this kid starts, We know they're going to have a great defense. There's some other really special players on that offense that I think can make some noise. Now, like I said, it's a tough division, and you got to go through Ohio State and you got to go through Penn State. But I think that Michigan has a chance, might be a tiny chance, but it's a chance to make some noise and make a run at winning that division. So we'll see. Out of the Big Ten, I'm picking Michigan Wolverines. The Big 12. The Big 12 of recent has been Oklahoma and everybody else. Oklahoma State, always has a good team, never can seem to get over that hump, but I'm not picking Oklahoma State. I'm picking Texas, the Texas Longhorns, the second year for their new head coach, Herman. And you know what? The Big 12's biggest problem, and this is no secret, is that they play no defense over there. The Big 12 hasn't had good defense since Venables came to Clemson. Everybody knows that. And I got a lot of flack from Oklahoma fans, saying how their offenses are so great that that's why the defenses look bad, blah, 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 blah. But you know what? The bottom line is their caliber of defenses in the Big 12 is not up to where they can compete for a national title. Even if you can score 100 points like Oklahoma, if you can't stop anybody, you can't stop anybody. Texas actually has a decent defense, probably the best defense in the Big 12. I saw some Texas games. They actually play some defense over there, and as soon as their offense catches up to the rest of the Big 12, I think that they will be right up there with Oklahoma, and I think Oklahoma and Texas are going to be the two battling back and forth over the next foreseeable future, the next 3 or 4 or 5 years, my opinion. So anyway, look out for Texas. I think Texas is on the rise, and we'll see if I'm right. Big 12, Texas. The Pac-12. Pac-12, Pac-12, Pac-12. Worst conference in college football right now. Washington and USC are really the crown jewels of that conference. Stanford, I guess maybe you could put in there as a contender. But none of those are real dark horses, right? Because they're really the only good teams or semi-good teams in the whole conference to begin with. So I can't pick a team that's already one of the best teams, top 2 or 3 teams in the conference. Because otherwise, then it's not a dark horse anymore, right? So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Washington State. Oh, Mike Leach. Oh, mister, I've been abducted by aliens and don't get married. All this other crap, the crazy stuff the guy says. He's a walking highlight reel, that guy. I'm sure Washington's going to be favored, and USC both probably going to be favored over Washington State, probably even Stanford. So I'm going to pick Washington State. The rest of that conference is just so bad. And UCLA might be good sometime soon. Who knows with Chip Kelly, but he's not going to do anything his first year. I'm sorry, he's just not. He's going to have to get his little, whatever you want to call them, puppet players in there to run his high school system that he's been running since his days at Oregon. So the Pac-12 loses Josh Rosen, loses Sam Darnold, but hey, you got Chip Kelly. I don't think UCLA is going to be much of a contender this year. So I'm going with Washington State in the worst conference in football. Look out for them. The SEC. Now, this was a tough one for me to try to figure out. Ole Miss is buried in sanctions. Mississippi State has a new head coach. Tennessee and Florida both have brand new head coaches and were terrible last year. I mean, what do you do? What do you do? Arkansas is one that I really thought about, but Chad Morris is in his first year. It's going to take him some time to do something, and plus he's in the West. He's got to be playing against Texas A&M, and he's got to be playing against Alabama and Auburn. So, this was a tough one for me. I had the only one that I could really think of, and it was hard for me to even choose this one because of the way I feel about the coach, is LSU. Louisiana. Go Tigers. Now, having said that, is LSU going to be better than Auburn? Probably not. Is LSU going to be better than Alabama? No, they're absolutely not. But 2 of their most difficult regular season games, I think, are both played in LSU, and that's going to be when they play Georgia. I think Georgia has to travel down to Death Valley, and I also think that, I know that Miami has to travel to LSU. If I'm wrong about that, somebody correct me, unless it's a neutral site game. I'm pretty sure they have to go to LSU. I didn't look that up. But the bottom line is the LSU always recruits well. They always have a really great defensive line. They always have great running backs. They're always one of these teams that underachieves in relation to the amount of talent they have. And so I'm not a big believer in Coach O, but one thing I do believe is that when you have that much talent, it's just a matter of time before you have like one great season. He's one of these coaches that'll probably have, mediocrity, and then, one great season of 10 or 11 wins, and then go back to mediocrity, and then one big, if he's not fired after that. But it's a school that can just put together one great season and make you think that they're on the rise, and then they go back to being bad again. So, they're not bad, but you get what I'm saying. So, out of all the SEC, the dark horse that I'm looking for this year is going to be LSU. Have a great day. I'm going to go ride my dark horse into the sunset. Pigskin Pete checking out.